Doesn't mean that Hillary would have been a good choice either. She was a terrible choice. She's a corrupt politician, one of the most unlikable people that's ever run for office. They were trying to get people to be supporting her just because she's a woman. This is going to be her history. Women, ladies, I stand with her. So there's all these women that have this blind allegiance towards this career politician, completely full of shit. She's been full of shit forever. But meanwhile, just a puppet of banks, and those people make piles of money from speeches, and there's major problems with the Clinton Foundation. It's not even around anymore. It's a dark legion. And meanwhile, she's doing all this Me Too talk. Her husband's a goddamn predator.
Yeah.
He's been a predator forever.
Yeah.
She said that Monica Lewinsky was a grown woman and it wasn't an abuse of power. Get the f*** out of here.
How old is Monica?
Hillary Clinton tried to rewrite her political legacy, but Joe Rogan wasn't having it. Armed with brutal honesty and a sharp tongue, Rogan shattered her carefully crafted narrative. From the email scandal to her relentless blame game, he didn't just call her out, he obliterated the whole spectacle. This wasn't a roast, it was a full-on demolition. Every word hit like a sledgehammer, dissecting her spin with savage precision. Hillary thought she'd get applause, but instead, she faced Rogan, armed with hard facts and unapologetic fire. No sugarcoating, no excuses, just raw, unfiltered truth.
He is, and he's actually still kind of good looking. Like, even for an older dude. Yeah, why not? He's still so good looking, and she's just so miserable.
She's publicly humiliated, and she thought that her big retribution would become president.
I'm running for president, and I'm in it to win it.
You know, become president.
Sure.
And then that would be it. All water under the bridge. I'm a strong woman. I'm running this country. And then America.
Somehow, Hillary Clinton strolls through political scandals as if she's gliding down a red carpet, heels high, smile fixed, with a trail of deleted emails swirling behind her like confetti. But Joe Rogan isn't here for the act. He doesn't just roast her, he dismantles her entire political career with ruthless precision. This isn't a surgical strike. It's an all-out demolition. Decades of political drama, all starring the same lead actress who keeps fumbling her lines but still expects a standing ovation. Rogan isn't buying the show, and he's not afraid to tear down the facade piece by piece.
Infuriated when people that I knew that I was friends with were trying to tell me that Hillary Clinton was a good choice. And that's the same choice. I'm like, look, I don't know if she's murdered people, but I know that I worry that she's murdered people. That's a real, I really wonder. Like this Seth Rich.
I know, first of all, just leave. You don't even need to go there. You know,
there's so many other things.
There's so many other things that we know for a fact.
The Clinton Foundation, for instance.
So,
if you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated. Joe Rogan doesn't hold back as he dives into Hillary's chameleon-like ability to reinvent herself. This woman has rebranded more times than a failed tech startup scrambling for investors. 1 minute, she's a fierce advocate for women's rights. The next, she's cashing checks from regimes where women's rights are nothing more than a forgotten myth. Somehow, she pulls off the impossible, being both a feminist icon and a foreign policy flip-flopper in the same breath. If hypocrisy had a LinkedIn profile, Hillary's would be top tier, boasting glowing endorsements from irony, confusion, and double standards.
She really did say that.
Yeah, she really did say that after she just got done Gaddafi and then laughed about it.
We came, we saw, he died.
We came, we saw, he died. The fact that any human being would ever do that. By the way he died, that's some dark.
Joe doesn't hold back as he calls out the uncomfortable truth. Hillary's entire political career has been one long audition for a role the American public never signed up for. It's like the nation watched the pilot, hated it, and canceled the show, yet Hillary kept showing up at the Emmys, demanding applause. The relentless drive to keep pushing the same storyline over and over, without a single rewrite, is either sheer dedication or complete delusion. Honestly, it's probably both, definitely both. She just won't accept that the audience isn't interested in her performance anymore.
He was packing
stadiums.
Yeah.
She couldn't even fill a fucking high school gymnasium.
Right. She was pulling all the strings, and she had all the favors that she was pulling in, and she had a shit ton of money behind her, and they were completely arrogant, and all the liberal elite in the media thought there was no chance that she was going to lose. She's 95% shoe-in to win the presidency, and she walked around like she was 95%.
She already thought she won.
Then there's the infamous email saga, a story that just won't die. Hillary treated a government server like it was her personal Pinterest board. Joe Rogan jumps into this mess like it's a stand-up bit that practically writes itself because, honestly, it does. She set up a private email server for convenience, but what she ended up with was a digital disaster, a monument to bad decisions. Somewhere, a Nigerian prince is probably looking at her email setup, green with envy. Yet, despite it all, Hillary played the victim, like she was the lead in an off-Broadway tragedy titled Accountability is Sexist.
If you watch the conversation between James Comey, when James Comey testified about what he did and what they found with the Hillary Clinton emails, and then her version of it, she's just a straight liar.
Yeah.
She deleted 33,000 emails.
How the do you do that? And then
Even worse than that, when they rigged the DNC, they rigged the primaries so that Bernie Sanders was going to lose. She had her people into the DNC.
Now, let's shift gears to the Clinton Foundation, the so-called family business that somehow manages to be a charity, a political tool, and an enigmatic money pit all in one. It's a place where funds flow in, influence pours out, and nobody seems to know exactly what happens in the middle. The foundation's tax forms probably require a secret code and a priest to decipher. Rogan doesn't mince words. He paints it clearly. It's not about public service. It's public relations with a donation button attached. Then comes the 2016 election, a truly iconic political disaster. Hillary had the media, the donors, the former presidents, the celebrities, and even a literal parade of confetti, and still managed to lose. Joe almost seems to dance through the absurdity of $1 billion campaign that was so robotic, it made vending machines look personable. Whether it's questionable real estate deals from decades ago, foreign donations, or speeches to Wall Street execs at the most convenient times, Hillary's expression never changes. It's part shock, part confusion, and totally rehearsed, like a soap opera character who's just learned they've been the villain all along after 6 seasons of gaslighting.
One of my favorite clips is Hillary Clinton when she was running 2012. She was more MAGA than MAGA.
So I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
You have to wait in line. That's so mad.
Joe Rogan doesn't pull any punches when it comes to Benghazi, the foreign policy disaster that quickly became synonymous with failure. But it wasn't just about the tragedy itself. It was about the shocking lengths Hillary and her department went to in order to shift blame. Accountability was treated like a hot potato, passed around with reckless abandon as if it were a dodgeball match where she was the target. Rogan picks up on this, pointing out that her strategy seemed to be simple: deny, deflect, distract, and then write a book about how everyone misunderstood her. Speaking of books, Hillary's memoir post-loss is like a treasure trove of deflection and self-aggrandizement. Joe dissects it as if it were a bizarre piece of fan fiction where she's both the hero and the misunderstood genius of the narrative. Every chapter feels like an extended therapy session, but one where she constantly interrupts the therapist to blame James Comey, the media, and of course, misogyny. Rogan paints a picture of Hillary's stage presence like that of a malfunctioning hologram, delivering speeches so polished they would make a Broadway choreographer squirm. Spontaneity? Not in her vocabulary. Relatability? Abandoned in favor of stale talking points. She speaks to voters like she's reading from a manual, and somehow, her attempts at inspiration sound more like ominous warnings.
I was getting shot at. It's like, I can't imagine, I was just talking about lack of empathy. I can't imagine being in a situation where I'm on television and I'm saying things that are so removed from the truth.
Right.
Like, I can't wrap my head around that.
Well, Hillary did the same thing.
Well, she's a congenital liar, as she was referred to by the New York Times back in the day. But,
and rightly so, but people forget this. She did talk about a firefight that she was involved in.
I was under sniper fire, and the worst thing about that people didn't give a shit about, she said when she was in Bosnia, she was under sniper fire. It's like, wait a minute, you're throwing the Secret Service under the bus. Because what kind of...
Joe Rogan doesn't let up when it comes to Hillary's tech illiteracy, a glaring weakness made all the more terrifying by the fact that she was once in charge of national cyber policy. Watching Hillary fumble with technology is like watching your grandma trying to TikTok. It's a mix of confusion, frustration, and where did that email go? Energy. She once thought wiping a server was as simple as dusting it with a cloth. And no, that's not a punchline, it's a national security risk disguised as slapstick comedy. But Hillary didn't stop there. She boldly positioned herself as the face of progress, acting like she invented feminism, equality, and political grace. Meanwhile, her track record is a catalog of compromises, contradictions, and carefully timed alliances. Joe doesn't miss a beat, calling out the hypocrisy in her support for policies that directly harmed the very communities she later claimed to champion. Joe digs deeper, showing how Hillary weaponized her marriage when it suited her, defended it when it was indefensible, and spun it like a romance novel ghostwritten by denial. She played the role of the loyal wife, the fierce independent, and the backroom strategist, all depending on who was watching and what was at stake. The Clintons weren't just a couple, they were a brand, and not a good one. Tangled in scandal, and with more spin than a washing machine in an earthquake, Rogan zeroes in on Hillary's remarkable ability to turn every failure into a stepping stone. Whether it's a disastrous policy, a humiliating critique, or a massive setback, Hillary somehow spends it as proof of her brilliance. She could trip over her own narrative and still call it a power move. She's the only person who can claim both victimhood and leadership in the same breath, all while maintaining direct eye contact with the camera and the lobbyist in the room.
And she just basically did a double talk around that, but she's got a lot of whoppers in her name. She said she was named after Edmund Hillary, even though he climbed Mount Everest after she was born. So she's I mean, amazing. I love that woman. I love her so much. She's the funniest person on earth.
She's a scary lady.
She's like a slinky. She's always falling down the stairs.
Ah!
Yeah, she's the human slinky.
How dare you?
Yeah.
It's an odd duck. It's one of those things where women want a woman to be president so bad. They want one for the team so bad. And then there's so many people from the left that think she has the best.
Then there's Hillary's social media presence, which could best be described as awkward intern energy with a dash of detached superiority. Joe doesn't hold back. Watching Hillary tweet is like witnessing a slow-motion car crash into a thesaurus. Every post is an attempt to seem in touch with today's culture, but ends up reading more like a PTA newsletter trying way too hard to be woke. Her hashtags are forced, her memes look like they're from the pre-hipster era, and her GIFs seem like they were downloaded in 2012 and never refreshed. It's cringe-worthy. Joe hammers this point home, drawing attention to Hillary's uncanny ability to insert herself into every political conversation, whether she's invited or not. She's like the unskippable ad of American politics, always there, always smiling, and constantly positioning herself as the answer to the problems she helped create. Whether it's 2024, 2028, or the apocalypse, Hillary will find a camera, tilt her head just so, and proclaim, "I warned you." She's the ghost of campaigns past, haunting CNN studios and wandering through college lecture halls like a PR spirit desperate for the spotlight. And just when you think she's fading into obscurity, Hillary floats off to her next self-congratulatory symposium, leaving behind a trail of spin, self-importance, and the haunting memory of those deleted emails. Rest assured, this roast is far from over. The saga of Hillary's political legacy is still brimming with punchlines yet to be delivered.
One of the things I always point out, like, people want to talk progressive, you want to talk, being left-wing, and she didn't even believe in gay marriage until 2013.
The best part was she was on NPR, which is this far right fringe organization, right? NPR, Terry Gross. And Terry Gross says, you used to be against gay marriage. You know, your husband passed DOMA, which made it a federal law that gay marriage won't be recognized by the federal government, and you changed your position. Like, how did that happen? Was it because Americans became... Hillary's like, well, America changed their point of view. She goes, no, I understand Americans changed their point of view. What was your mental process? And she goes, no, Terry, you're saying that I changed my mind for political purposes, and that's not true. And she starts yelling at her, and it's like, holy shit, you're on NPR and you think they're too right-wing for you because they're calling you out on your bullshit.
Just when you think Hillary's saga couldn't spiral further into the absurd, here comes the post-2016 reinvention tour and ongoing masterclass in political cosplay. 1 minute she's hosting a podcast, the next she's teaching a masterclass. And somewhere in between, she becomes the self-proclaimed oracle of democracy. It's like watching someone fail the final exam, only to be hired to teach the class. She's that determined to rewrite her legacy with glitter and revisionist sparkle, as though the public has the attention span of a goldfish on caffeine. Joe Rogan didn't need to shift gears to cut through the delusion. While Hillary was busy rebranding herself as the comeback queen, Rogan clocked the whole circus from miles away. And then there's the sheer audacity branding herself as the last line of defense against tyranny after losing to a guy who ranted like your drunk uncle at Thanksgiving dinner. It's all a spectacle, one crafted with a mix of desperation and delusion, as Hillary desperately attempts to reshape herself into the hero of a narrative she's never quite earned. Whether it's reinventing herself through new platforms or attempting to cast herself as a beacon of democratic salvation, the whole act feels like one long, never-ending stage performance, and Joe's not buying it.
Has a very weird and I think shitty marriage. I don't think she has a husband who is in love with her or faithful to her, and I think I can't really blame him because she seems to have accepted this behavior since the inception of their marriage. And so, past his prologue, you're going to get what you tolerate. You know, what you permit, you promote. She spent all of her daughter's upbringing away.
Joe didn't just roast Hillary's failures. He laid bare how tone-deaf her legacy tour had become. It was like watching the Titanic sink all over again, except this time, the captain insists the iceberg was Russian interference. She reappeared. Not wiser, not humbler, but somehow louder, like someone misreading the room and insisting on karaoke at a funeral. The sheer audacity! And then there's her unrelenting obsession with relevance. For someone who lost, Hillary's determination to remind us that she almost won is astounding. She's got more hot takes than wins, and somehow each one ages like milk left out in the sun, while the rest of the political world tries to evolve or at least pretend to have some self-awareness. Hillary's still performing her greatest hits. From her greatest misses.so when Joe unleashed his verbal grenade, there was no need for theatrics. The facts were already punchlines. The inconsistencies were practically begging to be pointed out. Hillary's entire political career has become that one awkward group project where one person insists they did all the work, despite the glaring evidence to the contrary. And just like that, the Clinton image reboot hit a hard system crash. No update, no recovery, just the blue screen of political death. Yet somehow, this saga is just getting started. The story of Hillary's public life keeps unfolding, and every chapter seems to spiral deeper into absurdity.